If these 7 people are around you, you're rarest dark chosen one. There are moments in life when nothing makes sense. You feel like you're walking through invisible fire, but no one around you sees the smoke. You feel people pull away from you without a reason. You enter rooms and the energy shifts. You speak truth and it makes others uncomfortable. You've tried to be the light. You've tried to be soft. You've tried to be ordinary. But something inside you keeps rising. Something ancient. Something unexplainable. Something dark, but not evil. It's not the darkness of harm, it's the darkness of depth. It's the sacred unknown, the frequency of the void, the original power before light was born. And if you're listening to this, I want to say something that may land deep in your bones. You're not just chosen. You are one of the rarest dark chosen ones. The ones who didn't come here to be liked. The ones who didn't come here to be understood. The ones who were sent to disrupt, dismantle, and rewire the very fabric of this world. Not through violence, but through presence, through frequency, through the truth that lives in your silence. But how do you know? How do you really know you carry this ancient energy? How do you know you weren't just imagining it, projecting it, or making yourself feel special to cope with the pain? I'll tell you how. The universe hides mirrors around the dark chosen ones. These mirrors come in the form of people. You don't choose them. They arrive, they orbit you, they test you, they reflect you. And if you pay attention, these 7 types of people will show up in your life exactly when your soul is shifting into its next frequency. And if they're around you right now, it's not random. It's a signal. It means your soul contract has activated. It means your original assignment has begun.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The first person is the silent threat. This is the one who doesn't speak much against you. They don't argue, they don't confront, but when you're around them, you feel a subtle contraction, a quiet resistance, an invisible wall. They might smile, they might even seem supportive on the surface, but underneath their energy says, "You scare me." Why? Because your presence activates the frequency they've spent their whole life avoiding. You don't even have to say anything, just your being confronts their illusions, and so they keep their distance but never fully leave. They observe, analyze, and sometimes copy. They might even try to become you in subtle ways. Watch them, not with fear, but with clarity. Their presence is not here to harm you, it's here to remind you that your energy is not meant to be digestible. It's meant to disturb the unconscious. And when you feel this kind of subtle threat around you, it's because your field is getting sharper. You are becoming more undeniable. The second person is the obsessive mirror. This one is drawn to you like a moth to a black flame. They admire you, sometimes worship you. They speak about your energy, your eyes, your aura. They want to be close to you, almost inside your field. But pay close attention, because it's not always pure. Often their obsession is a form of projection. They don't see you. They see the part of themselves they've disowned, buried, or feared, and you, by existing, bring it to the surface. They want to possess what you carry, but they don't yet understand what it costs. They haven't walked the fire. They haven't died the thousands of ego deaths you've endured, so their admiration becomes dependency, and if left unchecked, it can shift into manipulation. You must hold strong boundaries with this kind of person, not from judgment, but from awareness, because the dark chosen one doesn't attract fans, they attract mirrors, and every mirror teaches you something about how you see yourself. The third is the spiritual competitor. This one is dangerous, not because they're evil, but because they are unconscious. They believe they are awakened. They use the words frequency, embodiment, downloads, higher self, but when you walk in the room, their energy contracts. They feel the difference, and instead of honoring it, they try to compete with it. They'll challenge your truth, subtly undermine your authority, or mimic your words to prove they're equal. But you'll feel it, the tension, the force, the performance. These people are not your enemies, they are your tests. They ask you silently, can you stay in your power without needing to prove it? You don't need to outshine them. You don't need to defend your path. You just exist, and your existence becomes the proof. The ones who compete with you still believe power is scarce. You're here to dissolve that illusion by embodying pure presence. Now, I want to ask you a question that might shatter everything you thought you knew about your journey. What if your isolation was never loneliness, but energetic refinement? What if the people showing up in your field are not coincidences but calibrations? What if you've been training for lifetimes to hold a frequency so potent that only certain souls can even stand near you? And the ones who can't, they don't reject you, they reject the awakening you trigger in them. If these first three people are orbiting you, it's because your energy has passed through the veil. You've stopped being a seeker, you've become a signal. You're no longer playing the spiritual game, you're rewriting it. And the universe is responding by sending you mirrors, not to distract you, but to sharpen you, to remind you who you are beneath the stories, to call forth the truth you've been keeping quiet. In the next part, we'll go even deeper, because the remaining 4 people that show up around the dark chosen one don't just reflect your power, they reveal your mission. And when you understand who they are, you'll finally understand why you've suffered the way you have and what it all has been preparing you for. They don't come to support you, they come to activate you, the final 4 people that prove you're a dark chosen one. If the first 3 people around you are mirrors of your rising power, then the next 4 are something else entirely. They're not just reflections of your energy, they are activators of your soul contract. They don't always stay long, in fact, many of them leave quickly after their role is complete, but their impact is permanent. They awaken something ancient in you, a memory, a code, a frequency that had been dormant until they arrived. And if you don't recognize who they are, you may misinterpret their presence as chaos, betrayal, or distraction. But once you see clearly, you'll realize they were never random. They were summoned by your own vibration, by your own readiness, by the field that governs the journey of the dark chosen one. The 4th person is the karmic gatekeeper. This is the one who shows up in your life and brings every shadow to the surface. They trigger you in ways no one else can. They might be a lover, a family member, a mentor, a friend, but their energy feels like a storm. They don't follow rules. They don't respect your boundaries. They might even betray you. But here's the paradox. They are the exact frequency your soul needs to evolve, not because they're healthy, but because they are the final test. The karmic gatekeeper doesn't come to love you. They come to break the version of you that still believes love has to be earned. They come to show you where you're still giving your power away, where your fear of abandonment still runs the show, where your inner child still begs to be seen. And when you finally stand in your truth, cut the cord and release the illusion, they disappear. Not because you rejected them, but because their role is complete. They were never meant to stay. They were meant to ignite. The fifth person is the divine disruptor. This one is rare. They don't attack you. They provoke you in the deepest, most uncomfortable way possible. They might come in the form of a stranger, a guide, a mystic, or even a child. But when they speak, it pierces. When they look at you, it's like they see through dimensions. They don't flatter you, they challenge you. Not from ego, but from clarity. They don't care about how spiritual you think you are. They don't care about your followers, your image, your story. They care about one thing, your embodiment. The divine disruptor will call you out when you're performing. They'll confront you when you're slipping into victimhood. They'll remind you, sometimes harshly, of the vows your soul made before you entered this body. And if you can receive their reflection without defensiveness, you'll unlock an entire level of power you didn't know you had access to. But if you resist them, if you argue, if you project your insecurities back onto them, they'll vanish like smoke, because they didn't come to be liked. They came to recalibrate your field. The sixth is the shadow twin. This one is a mirror of your unintegrated power. Unlike the karmic gatekeeper, they're not here to test your wounds. They're here to reflect your potential, but in reverse. They carry the same gifts as you: vision, intuition, language, frequency, but they use them through distortion. They manipulate, they seduce, they build influence not from truth, but from performance. And when you encounter them, you'll feel a strange cocktail of admiration and repulsion. Part of you will recognize yourself in them. Another part will want to run. That's because they are the version of you that could have emerged if you had chosen ease over integrity. And their presence is not a threat. It's an invitation. Can you look at them and thank them for showing you what you're not? Can you honor their path while staying loyal to yours? Because the moment you stop judging them and simply witness them, your own gifts will expand, your light will deepen, your shadow will integrate, and you will rise not in separation, but in sovereignty. And finally, the seventh person, the most mysterious of all, the soul witness. This one is rare beyond words. They don't come to challenge you, they don't come to teach you, they come to see you, purely, without agenda, without distortion. When you meet them, it feels like remembering, like coming home. They might not even say much, but their presence creates space for your full self to emerge. They don't need you to explain your pain, they've felt it. They don't need you to prove your magic, they've seen it. The soul witness doesn't stay in your life to complete you. They arrive to confirm you, to remind you that your path, no matter how lonely, has never been invisible. They're the ones who say with their eyes, "I know what you are, I see what you carry, and it's real." And sometimes, that's all we need. One moment of being seen without distortion can activate a decade's worth of healing. One gaze of remembrance can anchor lifetimes of purpose. So now I ask you, which of these people are in your field right now? Which ones have come and gone? Which ones are still lingering, still teaching, still reflecting? And more importantly, what are they trying to show you about yourself? Because the rarest, dark, chosen ones don't walk through life surrounded by ease and applause. They walk through fire, through friction, through frequency wars, and the people around them are not there to comfort them, they're there to activate them. Every trigger, every betrayal, every soul recognition, it's all part of the preparation, because you didn't come here to be accepted, you came here to anchor codes that hadn't been seen on this planet for thousands of years. And in the next part, we'll go even deeper into what it actually means to live as a Dark Chosen One, because once you've been activated, the journey doesn't get easier, it gets clearer. The world doesn't always get kinder, but your soul gets stronger. And that strength changes everything. Living as a Dark Chosen One, how to survive, lead and transform the world without losing yourself. Living as a Dark Chosen One is not about superiority. It's not about walking around with a mystical aura and expecting the world to bow. It's about living with the constant awareness that your existence disturbs systems, energetic, emotional, cultural, personal. You don't just show up in a space and fit in, you shift it. You don't just speak and get heard, you vibrate, and people feel it before words even leave your mouth. But here's the paradox. The more you embody your truth, the more isolated you may feel. Not because you're unloved, but because the frequency you carry is rare. It's not meant for crowds, it's meant for impact. And impact often begins in solitude. To survive this path, you must first stop waiting for permission. No one is going to validate your frequency. No one is going to give you a certificate of authenticity. The world isn't built to recognize this kind of power because it threatens the foundation of how power is usually controlled. You have to validate yourself. You have to wake up every day and remember, I am not here to be understood. I am here to be effective. That means letting go of the need to explain your essence to those who don't have the capacity to receive it. It means walking away from people who love the idea of your light but flinch at the intensity of your shadow. It means being okay with being misread, misjudged, and sometimes even feared, because your energy speaks a language most people forgot how to hear. But surviving is only the beginning. You must also lead, not with ego, not with control, but with frequency. Leadership as a Dark Chosen One isn't about status or followers or influence. It's about resonance. It's about creating a field so strong, so sovereign, that others begin to remember their own power simply by being near you. You don't have to teach, you transmit. You don't have to speak loudly, you hold. And people feel safer around you, not because you comfort them, but because they sense that you're not performing. Your nervous system is honest. Your presence is anchored. Your truth doesn't waver with trends or approval. But let's be honest, it's hard. There will be days when you want to disappear, when the weight of holding such a high-frequency field feels overwhelming, when you question whether the mission is worth the cost, because the cost is real. You'll lose people, you'll outgrow communities, you'll walk away from careers, relationships, identities that no longer match your truth. And sometimes it will feel like death, like you're being emptied out over and over again. And in a way you are, because every time you ascend into a new level of consciousness, a part of your old self must dissolve. That's not failure, that's evolution. And if you resist it, you'll suffer. But if you surrender to it, you'll transform not just yourself, but everything around you. Transformation is not always gentle. Sometimes it feels like destruction, and yet, what most people call chaos, you begin to recognize as alignment in motion. You stop fearing endings. You stop clinging to things that are falling apart. You don't try to control the timeline anymore. You trust the field. You trust the pull. You trust that when something leaves, it's because something more aligned is on the way, even if you can't see it yet. That trust becomes your compass. Not logic, not evidence, not external validation, just the knowing that your path is coded into your being, and if you listen deeply enough, you will never be lost. And perhaps the hardest part of all is this: you must learn how to love without losing yourself. Because when you carry a rare frequency, people often fall in love with your energy before they've even met your humanity. They become addicted to your light, your insight, your magnetism. And if you're not careful, you'll start curating your identity to keep their love. You'll start dimming your truth to keep the connection. That's the trap. That's how the dark chosen ones fall, not through failure, but through fusion, through spiritual codependency disguised as compassion. So how do you love without losing yourself? You stay sovereign. You stay self-sourced. You remember that love is not sacrifice. Love is truth. Love is clarity. Love is not bending yourself into a version that's more palatable. Love is standing fully in your frequency and saying, "This is who I am. If you can meet me here, good. If not, I release you with peace." That kind of love is rare, but it's the only kind that sustains your evolution. And then there's the world, the collective. You're not just here for personal healing. You're here to shift paradigms. Your very existence challenges systems of oppression, manipulation, and distortion. That's why you were born with hypersensitivity. That's why you feel everything 10 layers deep. That sensitivity isn't weakness, it's data. It's how your soul gathers information. It's how you know when something is off, even if others can't name it. And when you speak it aloud, that's when the field shakes. That's why they try to silence you. That's why they call you too much, too intense, too emotional, because you are disrupting their programming. And if you try to make yourself smaller to survive, you're not just betraying yourself, you're delaying the awakening of others. So I ask you, are you willing to lose what isn't real in order to become what is? Are you willing to be misunderstood by the world to be fully known by your soul? Are you willing to walk alone for a while so others can walk in truth later because of the path you cleared? This is the path of the dark chosen one. It's not easy, it's not glamorous, but it is sacred. And in the next part, we'll go all the way. We'll talk about what happens when you fully accept it, when you stop hiding, when you let go of the illusion of balance and become the force you were always meant to be. Becoming the force, the final integration of the dark chosen one's power. There comes a point on the path of the dark chosen one where the searching ends. Not because you found all the answers, but because you finally accepted that you are the answer. You stop looking outward for confirmation, for permission, for proof. You stop waiting for the world to catch up to your vision. You stop negotiating with your truth. And in that stillness, something ancient reawakens. Not a version of you, but the source of you. The part that was never broken, never small, never lost. The part that has walked through lifetimes of fire just to stand here now, remembering. To become the force doesn't mean becoming hard or cold. It means becoming clear. It means no longer diluting your essence. It means no longer shape-shifting to make others feel more comfortable. It means no more hiding your gifts behind false humility. The force that lives within you is not violent. It's not chaotic, but it is undeniable. It does not ask for attention. It commands alignment. When you fully integrate that power, your life becomes a field of frequency, not performance, not projection, but pure transmission. But integration is not a concept, it's a lifestyle. It's how you breathe, how you move, how you choose. It's how you hold your energy when no one's watching. It's how you respond when the world tries to test your resolve. Because once you've accepted your role, the tests don't stop, they shift. The test is no longer can you survive, it becomes can you stay in your truth even when it costs you everything you thought you needed? And that's when the deepest alchemy happens, when you walk away from the comfort of being liked and step fully into the clarity of being aligned. You'll notice something begins to shift around you. People start to respond differently. Some will be drawn to you, magnetized not by your words, but by your embodiment. Others will feel uncomfortable, even triggered, and they won't know why. You'll walk into rooms and silence them, not because you're trying to dominate, but because your field carries a frequency that disrupts distortion. And the most important thing to remember is this: you do not adjust to make others feel safe in their illusions. You hold, you anchor, you remain. And something else begins to happen. You start to experience ease, not because life becomes simple, but because you stop resisting your design. You stop trying to be lighter, softer, more palatable. You stop apologizing for your intensity. You stop editing your voice. And in that surrender, you access something most people never taste in this lifetime: sovereign freedom. The kind of freedom that cannot be bought or taught. It can only be embodied. At this stage, you don't need to prove you're chosen. You don't need to explain your path. You don't need to convince anyone of your role. You just live it. You be it. And through your being, others remember. That's the power of the dark chosen one. You don't lead with your mouth, you lead with your field. You don't change people through logic, you change them through resonance. You don't even need to try, it just happens. So I'll leave you with one final question. Are you finally ready to stop trying to fit into a world you came here to transform? Because if these 7 people have shown up in your life, if your path has been marked by fire and silence and truth too big to explain, then you already know. You're not here to follow the light. You're here to be the force that reshapes the dark. You're not just a chosen one. You're one of the rarest.